about the cash registers, introduction of cash registers for small business. I would like to invite Viktor Borovinsky, who's the head of the Samozachist of self-defense of entrepreneurs from Dnipropetrovsk, Iryna Berezynets, head of the Fortress Small and Medium Business Entrepreneurship National Union Chernihiv Regional Branch, and Igor Metlyuh, chairman of the NGO Entrepreneurs Committee of Ivano-Frankivsk. Please turn on the microphones and do start. The microphone. Can you hear? Good afternoon. I represent the entrepreneurs of Dnipropetrovsk, called the entrepreneurs of Ukraine in Kiev, to hold an event. Azarov applauds. Why have we recollected this name of the criminal regime? And the reason is the self-defense of the entrepreneurs. This organization has been in existence for 7 years. It was trying to agree on something reasonable with the previous regime and with this regime. And in our archives, we found the letter that we wrote to 2013 to Mr. Azarov. Reading that letter, we saw that the letter without any changes can be sent to the current government. That is the letter. We have just changed the name. We replaced Azarov by Yatsenyuk. The number of law is the same, and the date is practically the same, just the years different. The criminal regime of Azarov reacted to that in 2013 and introduced cash registers only for legal entities. Now the current authorities are trying to do what Azarov hasn't done. We will send this letter to Yatsenyuk and we'll see what will happen. My company, for example, is a legal entity, so we worked with these cash registers. They were cheaper, 3,000 hryvnias, now it's 6,000, and to service it was 100 hryvnias, now it's 200. But I can tell you, for the state of Ukraine, it gave nothing, because we still have the manure, use it or not use it, but servicing, it's now 200 hryvnias. We do not understand who this money goes to. Equa is the private company, and all the entrepreneurs send this money, transfer this money to one private company. Servicing of the register, the servicing went up, but the salaries are the same. Why have they increased the cost for servicing? They do not service you, they do it once a quarter, and the rest of the time money is paid for nothing. The state itself will not get anything. The entrepreneurs have to spend 6,000 hryvnias for the register and 200 hryvnias every month to service it. And naturally, I do not think that when the dollar went up 3 times, you can find any reasonable explanation to these actions. I would like to add to what the previous speaker said, and I would like to say that the cash registers today is very expensive. The price for servicing is expensive. And what does the state want to achieve? There will be no more taxes paid to the state because of that. Now the state introduces cash registers to 650,000 entrepreneurs. And this way, if you take the average cost of cash register, $250, they wash out almost $166 million out of the turnover capital of the entrepreneur. We today have not perfect system of servers of the tax administration. When VAT accounts were introduced, they cannot cope with that. If we introduce cash registers, then the entrepreneurs will have extra problems with administering cash registers. Then third, our communication, the internet coverage. I live in Chernihiv region, in Repkinsky district. We are in Belarus roaming. So shall we send these checks to Batka, to Belarus first, and then to Ukraine? Then what will the consumer win? If the consumer does not win anything, the consumer will get just more expensive goods because you have to pay 6,000 hryvnias for the register itself and about 1,000 hryvnias for servicing and everything else. Then if a small shop closes because of that financial load, then the consumer will not be able to buy this or that good, will not be able to go to some small coffee shop or barber shop. Then also are these services acceptable or reachable by the people with special needs? Now all small shops have the special wheel accesses. Then there will be monopolization of large business. We understand that if small businesses close, then the large ones will get bigger. If they get bigger, they will be able to put higher price for goods. And also the consumer basket will be limited. In Chernihiv region, everyone loves sausages from farmer, but these are the sausages which the supermarket doesn't buy from the farmer. The farmer doesn't have money to supply these sausages to the supermarket. People buy from the farmer. And touristic places where there are small souvenir shops, coffee shops, and other places. If people cannot buy the cash register, they will have to close these small shops, and the tourist and the place will lose its touristic attractiveness, some of its touristic attractiveness. And in the end, myself as representative of NGO of the Entrepreneurs Committee of Ivano-Frankivsk, the representative of Eastern Ukraine, I would like to generalize what my colleague said. What's happening now? This simplified system of taxation was introduced in times of crisis, at Kuchma times. Why was it introduced? To give a chance to people who lost their jobs to earn money for themselves. If you can say that now the crisis is not like we had in the 90s, well, I believe the situation is much worse. My colleagues missed one more thing, and that's corruption. Introducing of cash register. These cash registers are to be controlled by someone, and the situation comes up when the tax officer will come to each entrepreneur and inspect something. So there is the logical conclusion where we have the relation between the entrepreneur and the tax officer. That's the source of corruption. Well, people say that if the Deputy Minister of Economy Makeyeva, in her interview said, well, but what entrepreneur is that who cannot earn 1,000 hryvnia a month to give it to the state? Let them do something else. And my question is, but via small business, have we destroyed the consumer market because of the small business, or was it done by the government that increased the exchange rate and it almost killed the consumer market? And when there's no consumer market, there's no business that would work for this market. And also now the big supermarkets are organizing the press conference, and they are trying to kill us using the government for that, because we cannot get any credit resources. How can we compete with large supermarkets? And also, when they say that all over the world the cash registers are used, but these are not those cash registers, these are not fiscal. All over the world, the entrepreneur uses the cash register to control the business himself and to account for that, but not to have the company inspected by someone. I know some colleagues entrepreneurs who put the post terminal because it's convenient for them, but not because the monopolist, some monopolist is forcing them to do that. And also a big problem, why is it happening this way? The problem is in the public administration. They appoint managers to all the positions and they say how great these managers are, but the managerial system of public administration is something that existed in the past. Now, all over the world, there is a partnership model of administration when managerial decision is the result of the analysis of the request of the society. Those who are leading the state, the managers, look at the state as a private company, but it should be different. They should have to react to the requests of people who live in the state, and they should do what is needed for people. Thank you. I would like to invite Olena Makeyeva. Well, sorry, she's the Deputy Minister of Finance. Olena, please take the microphone. Can you react to what has been mentioned here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I decided to come to this press conference, in fact, to talk. And for me, this is the openness of the government which we offer to business. First of all, I would like to say the government is trying to establish the dialogue with private business, and we do everything for you to hear us. We understand that for small companies, entrepreneurs, especially those who are in the second group of taxation, for them it will be additional expenditures, and not everyone will be able to pay that. But the cash register cost 3,500 hryvnias. We negotiated with suppliers of cash registered, and they are ready to provide provide them on condition that the money will be paid in 3 months. And basically, there were not enough proposals in the market. But when the second group is introduced the 1st of January next year, then we will find not just cheaper cash registered, but we'll find some grants that will help us partially compensate for these small companies. And from the 1st of July, the third group starts working on the cash register. These are not small companies. These are companies which have the annual turnover up to 20 million a year. And the philosophy of this does not mean to get more taxes. We do not change the tax rate. It's basically to control the cash, and that is the fiscal function which is introduced all over the world. Maybe you travel all over the world and you see that there's limit on use of cash even when you pay in the shop. Everyone is trying to reduce shadow economy and is trying to fight illegal circulation of cash. That is fiscal function. The register costs not 6,000 but 3,500 hryvnias, and we are negotiating on bringing smaller ones, and that is a small device. You say that internet today doesn't cover everything. 98% of taxpayers submit their reports electronically. A year, 2 years ago, we were saying that we need to step away from paper reporting, and now we have to consolidate our efforts. Why do we need these Soviet-type reports? We want to have more online services, especially for small businesses, so that they can go get consultations on how to develop business, and that's what we need to focus our attention on. So now 3G starts working, there will be no problem with internet covering. You say that the consumer basket is changing. How does that influence the register? If the person cannot buy the sausage, even if they have the registers, they will not be able to buy them. So now the imported products are very expensive, but it's a great opportunity to support our national producers. National producers have to take care about the cost for final consumer, so that it is such that the final consumer can pay it. That's to simplified system of taxation in reality. It should be there for those who need it, for small entrepreneurs who provide their services, who grow their products, sell them in the market. And that is why we have the same position as the society, that the simplified system of taxation should be there and it should support small and micro business. Now, on corruption, many entrepreneurs are saying that there will be a certain pressure. I would like to give you an example, figures. In the State Fiscal Service, we have just 240 inspectors who are inspecting cash discipline all over Ukraine. Can you tell me physically, will they be able to inspect all the entrepreneurs and large companies which are using the registers? No. And that is why in the morning I was saying that in the future we'll focus our attention on those taxpayers who are paying taxes to the budget, because we need to take care of how the fiscal service provides high-quality professional service for those who pay taxes, and this will be a certain motivation for medium and small business also to pay taxes and get professional services. So we do not aim to inspect small and micro business. More than that, we are ready to review fines for incorrect use of registers or not use of registers to satisfy the expectations of the society. And a few more theses. Big supermarkets, you say they are your competitors. I would like them to become your partners. I'm sure that when you are developing partnership relations with large business, with large supermarkets, they will find an opportunity to lease out the cash register to you. But first you need to build partnership relations, not competitive relations. Then people will be open to you and will be ready to cooperate with you and provide you assistance. By the way, today Foxtrot company, Novus company, they have offered free of charge training for entrepreneurs on their platform with cash registers to learn how to correctly use the cash register. What should you pay attention to? They are ready to distribute different memos, provide any information on the website of the Ministry of Finance and the State Fiscal Service. There will be an announcement today as to coordinators of these groups and all the entrepreneurs who want to get this free training. Welcome. We are ready to work. We are ready to develop other programs. And by the way, this is a big business. You say that they become your competitors, but they become your partners. They are ready to train you free of charge. And finally, a few weeks ago, you were picketing near the committee of the Verkhovna Rada. I came to people again to answer their questions. For an hour, I was talking to people and I was giving my personal business cards with direct phone numbers, and I was requesting, please send your questions. We're ready to organize the round table for you, to organize trading and to answer any of your questions. And unfortunately, I would like to state that as of today, not a single person called me not a single question was asked, and such political things as pickets. I understand that's not the need to build up the dialogue, but that's just some political challenge, and I don't understand what it will lead to. So I invite you to have a dialogue. I would like to emphasize that the government is ready to have a high-quality dialogue with professional community, irrespective of whether this is large business or small business. We are ready to take your proposals, to listen to you, and we're doing everything together with the Ministry of Finance, State Fiscal Service, the Committee of the Verkhovna Rada, so that we make conditions of use of cash registers for you easier and cheaper. We will to simplify your so that you spend less time for reporting and so on. Thank you for attention. Thank you for talking about that. In fact, this is a great opportunity when we can be together. I know these people especially want to shake your hand. Please don't look at me as the enemy. The government is not your enemy. We are partners. Thank you.
May I interfere with this? Olena told us about some dialogue, and the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center will be glad to offer an opportunity for the representative of business and government to meet. We are told the big networks will help you how to communicate, and this reminds me that your competitors will give you poison and teach you how to use it, not to die at once. You know, the dialogue should have been before Verkhovna Rada, before the parliament adopted this law. They have passed this law, and then when the reaction from the society hit back, they started to imitate some activity. What are we talking about? Thank you. While this beautiful woman was speaking, I was smiling. This reminded me of a film. You can't change the place we meet. When a person was told, don't be afraid, we won't kill you in a painful way. Yesterday I asked how much a cashier's machine, a till machine works. It costs almost 7,000 hryvnia, the cheapest one. And the authorities are ready to teach you anything just to get the till machines everywhere. But earlier we had till machines, but they were not incorporated into the online system. So by the end of the day, every businessmen would count their profits, and in the morning they would phone in and tell the tax administration. However, the till machine sends the data to some acquirer, which recently has worked on until 5 p.m. My shop works until 11. So they called us in the morning and asked what was your actual turnover. I don't understand under such circumstances. What are we talking about where the control over the cash flow is concerned? I want to tell that, yes, traffic goes through acquiring company, but the data goes to the state fiscal system. The introduction of till machines and the strengthening of control over cash flow is an instrument to take economy out of shadow. We were on Maidan. We went through the revolution of dignity. We said that we wanted to live in a democratic, developed country where people have worthy pensions and salaries, and this does not run contrary to the rules that we had a year ago. Nothing has changed. We still want this. We still want to control cash flow. We do not speak here about raising the tax burden. Could you tell me, today, when Ukraine is in such dire economic straits and we have war in our country, we are adopting unpopular things, and we start to tax pensions, and pensioners who don't have as many opportunities as businessmen have, they do not go to the streets, they do not protest, they understand that they should endure and suffer over some period of time, and every person should join in order for our country to become a flourishing European country. However, the entrepreneurs say that it is too expensive. So my message is that the government is listening to you, and we are talking to suppliers so that they should bring other till machines. Everyone was expecting that they will be cancelled altogether. And now there's a anxiety, and of course a lot of companies are looking for till machines that would be cheaper, and we have found one which costs 3,500 hryvnia. It will be accessible. I do understand all your apprehensions. I came to government from business, but let's have enough optimism. If we think in a positive way and listen to each other, then we all will be in a win-win situation. There's a dilemma of a captive person which says that we shall win if we act together. If we act independently, then both state and business will lose. My telephone is, everyone knows my phone. I am ready to meet, I am ready to organize trainings, I'm ready to talk about till machines becoming cheaper, and I'm ready to provide my shoulder and stand shoulder to you, with you, because we are all one country. Oksana Nehitska, I have a question to Elena Makeyeva. Don't you think that this situation concerned entrepreneurs about till machines means that the reason and after effect are different in this way, that maybe if the lessening of tax burden happened in a real way and in parallel with the introduction of till machines, this would be perceived in a different way. Not like there's a complicated situation in the country, you should pay, and then when the war ends, we will help you. Maybe there's some disappointment, and the cause is not in the optimism, but because the promises were not honored. In reality, changes to the law about the till machines were adopted together with the lessening decrease of rates of the single social contribution. Secondly, there is a moratorium for enterprises that have up to 20 million turnover per year. There is not a single other country in the world with such a moratorium. That's another story, that sometimes there are unlawful actions on the part of the state fiscal system service, but we are ready to react to every such case. We're now developing the set of tax reforms. The Ministry of Finance offered an industrially open platform, but regrettably not everybody want to spend their free time or their days off to come and discuss this about the tax reform. The most active organizations are the rehabilitation package of reforms and new country. So I invite you, I entice you, come and talk together we will build a model that will be beneficial both for business and the state. There will be a balance of interests, and it will work from the next year. Another question. I am a businessman since 1996 in Donetsk region. The problem today is that, I've been long into this. I talked to Kushel, to Prodan about the introduction of till machines. And the problem is that you first adopted the decision, and then you as power launch dialogue. So first you have to make this explicable. The second moment is that the system of still machines should be the system of accountability for the cash flow. You're absolutely right. When the big and medium-sized business breaks their enterprises into many entities and pay only 400 hryvnia of tax, yes, you should pay attention to this. And where there's territory without internet, what the girl was talking about, then you should introduce obligatory the writing of a handwritten receipt. Now, the state does go to meet the business halfway, but the understanding should be there. The model of Professor Chernihiv does provide for the introduction of till machines, and every developed country did this. Dialogue should be always there. Yes, I understand. I take this into account, and I will talk about this. Thank you very, very much. Hello, newspaper, private entrepreneur. My first question to Elena Makeyeva. You told us about 98% of internet coverage, but where is an official source of this information? And to other participants, apart from today's action, what you will stage in Kiev in the future? Thank you for your question. The information is open. It's always announced at tax forums. These are statistic data from the State Fiscal Service, and now all the data is online, and they can analyze how much is provided with for the internet and how much on paper. I wanted to join your question, and I want to know where should I go, where I should not. We are very positive people, and we are convinced that if the government and the parliament don't go to meet us halfway, we will talk to another government. Full stop. Period. Thank you very much for coming to us, and such a dialogue did take place. I stress again that we are ready to accept you around one table in order to look for